Let me first tell you why I'm even looking at these shoes. And that is because in my training, I am doing, and it's very popular on the Supwell app. Hopefully, you are following that. It's called the Summer of Speed. And for the first time in my running career, I am making an effort to make it to the track at least once a week and do more speed intervals. If I can't make it to the track, I'll use my treadmill, I'll do hill repeats, but I'm making sure I include a lot of focused intervals that are building along with my mileage. Now, you really need to be careful doing that because adding mileage and then intensity can lead to injury. So make sure you are balancing them, make sure you're not doing one after the other, one after for the other. Make sure you're giving your body what it needs. But early in a build phase or in a training block per se, it is very good to have speed sessions no matter what distance you are running. 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon. um, I'm assuming some ultra marathoners would do a speed session. I don't know. I would just be battling for survival personally. But you get what I'm saying. So no matter what you're doing, you're going to want to have some speed because let's face it, you are racing, you are pushing yourself. Now, there are some runners who do not want to do that. They don't like tracks, they don't like the speed sessions, and they're there just to run and complete the race. And that is fantastic. That's perfectly fine. No problem with that at all. But for your more competitive people who are following a training program, who are trying to get a specific time or push themselves to do better, then the speed session is going to be a very key workout in your training plan. All right. So I'm adding that in the Supwell community by Joanna and more are hosting a Speed of Summer idea where they do give a uh, running workout, speed workout once a week, and I've been doing that. And also, I'm in a coaching program where my coach sets out uh, intervals and track work once a week, and I've been really enjoying them. Um, Now, at first, I looked around at some different speed shoes, and the one I decided to try was the Magic Speed 5. So I'll get into that shoe first. Then I'm going to tell you where it would fit in a lineup, and then I'm going to tell you some comparisons, and then finally, let's see if I even need this shoe. All right, so let's get into the shoe first. All right, let's first get into the specs of the Asics Magic Speed 5. So for weight and size 10, it comes in at 220 grams, nice and light. It has a 37 millimeter in the heel and 30.5 millimeter in the forefoot, giving you a 7 millimeter drop with a full length carbon plate. All right, so very solid there. And let's start talking about the upper. All right, let's first look at the design, and it is very similar to the Metaspeed series. First of all, the upper is the same engineered mesh. It's extremely breathable, very nice with that. Very light, a little bit flexible, but it still holds your foot in place very well. So that is all very good things. They also share the same laces, which is of course a genius move because why wouldn't you want these serrated laces? They are the best. So very good lace lock with that. The tongues are relatively similar. The Magic Speed 5 and the Metaspeed series. They are thin, a little bit of padding at the top to prevent lace bite. I do believe the Metaspeed series feels a little bit thinner, but you probably wouldn't notice the difference. The heel collar and going around is a little bit more padded than the Metaspeed series, but it's nice and comfortable. It holds your heel well. You don't get your foot's not slipping around at all. The one main difference, and this might be me, but the one main difference I noticed with the Magic Speed 5 is it feels a bit narrower. Now, obviously, of all of these, the Metaspeed Ray is the narrowest. Then I believe I've heard, I haven't tried out the Edge, but I hear the Edge is a little bit more narrow than the Sky Tokyo. Now I've used the Sky Tokyo a lot, so I would say the Magic Speed 5 and the Edge Tokyo are relatively similar. So that's it for the upper. All right, looking at the star of the show, of course, that would be the mid foam. So as I said before, it has a 37.5 millimeters in the heel, 30.5 millimeters in the forefoot, with a 7 millimeter total drop. Now, this is a dual layer foam setup with the FF Leap on the top. The FF Leap is their light and bouncy foam, and the FF Blast Plus on the bottom. The FF Plus is firmer and more stable in the base. This is very similar to the same setup that the Edge has. Now you do have the full length carbon plate that goes through. It gives it a nice bounce, a lot of pep in your step. The rocker is not as aggressive as one of the Metaspeed series, and it's a little bit lower, so it's not as aggressive as a feel of any of the Metaspeed shoes, but it will get you moving. This is a speed shoe for a reason. You will have plenty of rebound and a lot more going. Now, this shoe does have more cushion than your typical race day than your typical speed shoes. So that's something that we will look at in our comparisons. So you are getting relatively good protection. Granted, of course, the Metaspeed series all have more foam to them, so it's a lot softer and a lot more plush, so you're getting more protection there. But this is by no means not a harsh shoe. Now, the biggest difference between the Magic Speed 5 and the Metaspeed series is, of course, the midsole and the design of the shoe and its intended purposes. But also, a big difference is the outsole. While the Metaspeed series has a just enough rubber to get you going, the outsole on the Magic Speed 5 is a full rubber coverage. So no matter where you're landing, you're going to have traction using their Asics grip. So if this is very good to if you want to take it out on the roads or just use it on the track. All right, so let me tell you about the ride of the shoe and how it felt. The first thing I did is I used it for its intended purposes, and I took it out to the track. What I ended up doing was did eight sets of 200 meters with a 2-minute walk in between, and the shoe really got going. You had plenty of speed in it, and I really enjoyed it for that. Now, it's something I was not used to because I haven't really used these types of shoes before, so it was a little hard to get adjusted to. The lower stack height, the more firmer feel beneath, less protection, but it was comfortable. The next couple workouts I did was more of a threshold pace or tempo run, going 5 miles, 6 miles, then did a 3 mile run, and then I did one more session on the track. And overall, I gotta say, while I see how the shoe is very nice, one thing I really noticed is that when I step in, my heel, it kind of feels like it fits into like a little cup. So it holds the heel really nicely. And I do think it favors a heel striker more than your forefoot, which I am. So it wasn't the best for me, but it's a very beginner friendly shoe. So how would I use this shoe? This shoe, I would really use it in two ways. One, if you're on a budget, you can easily use this as your race day shoe. Now, I would never take it up to a half marathon, but I can see some people would do it. It all depends on your type of runner, but for a 5K and a 10K and you don't want to break your bank, great job. Great shoe. Another one, as I said before, is this is a good kind of like progressor to the Metaspeed series, especially if you figure out those are more aggressive, more speedier shoes. This is a good way to train your foot for it. This is obviously is a much more stable option as well because you don't have all that stack height in it. It's a little bit wider in the base, so it's the more stable than any of the Metaspeed shoes. That's also important. All right, so let's get into the ratings. All right, so first of all, the upper, I gotta say, I'm gonna give it. I'm going to give it a B. Now, the Metaspeed series, I would give about a B plus. I think this is a little bit more because it just feels more constricted, more narrow for me. I don't like that. And I also felt like the tongue moved around a little bit more than the Metaspeed series. I'm not sure if that's just the sock I was wearing um, all those times, but it did. No, I did notice that. All right, for the midsole, I got to give it an A. Now, if I was getting that shoe for just basic training, then no, I would not like it. But for its intended purpose, that is a great midsole. It's got enough cushion and it's got plenty of bounce, like response to it. It's going to get you up and going really good. All right, so the midsole, as I said, is an A. So we're going down to the price. The price is $180 in most places. Probably I haven't looked around too much. You could probably find it on sale somewhere or a discount. But I'm going to say 180, and I'm going to give that a B because just looking at that shoe alone, that's a good price for what you get. If you use it for other things, if you're just using like a track workout for once a week, I don't think I would spend that much. I would probably just get like a more firmer daily trainer, something like the Azura, the Evo SL, something along those lines where you are paying like $30, $40 less and you're getting a fast shoe and probably a little bit more comfortable as well. Um, the other problem with it is that one, like I get it, it's a big difference, like 180 to about 250 or something like that, or 275. I forgot the exact price. Is obviously a big price increase. But if you could get the Metaspeed Edge or Tokyo for like $50, $60 more, and you're already willing to put out 180, why not just get those? Um, they're a much better shoe. They're much more fun to run in. You get a lot more out of them. And as long as you don't just use them for your everyday use, you could do your intervals in them and you can still do your races. Now, I grant that the outsole is a big difference. You're getting a lot, your Magic Speed 5 is going to last a lot longer. So you're getting more bang for your buck out of that reason. Whereas the Metaspeed, especially the Ray, are a lot more stripped down. They're not going to last as long, but if you take care of them, I do feel like the Edge and Sky are more durable race shoes than some of the other ones out there. All right. Uh, so next thing, let's talk about the rotation. So rotation of the shoe is looking just at the Asics. We're going to go through how I would rate this, starting with a 4-shoe rotation. So first of all, for my long recovery runs and long distance runs, I would always take the Hyper Blast 3. Hyper Blast. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm cursing. I'm getting in trouble. Someone's going to sue me. I meant the Super Blast 3. So again, that is a nice plush, soft shoe that compresses very well. That's going to protect your foot. Now, obviously, that shoe is very well rounded and you can do a lot of different things in it. But if I just wanted one shoe out of their lineup of best shoes for my recoveries, it would be the Super Blast 3. Following that, you're looking for your daily trainer. Now, there's two you can look at for their daily trainer. You can look at the Mega Blast, which is super popular. That's a great shoe. However, in my mind, my thinking is if I have the Mega Blast, which is more of a speedier shoe, plenty of rebound, great race upper in itself, I feel like it cancels out the Magic Speed 5. If I had to choose one between them, I would choose the Mega Blast. So I'm not going to choose the Mega Blast. Instead, I'm going to look at the Nova Blast 6, where it still has some get up and go with that FF Turbo in the forefoot, but it also is a much softer shoe all around. So it's going to be great for your daily miles, right? To eat up a lot of miles and you go to day to day. So that would be my daily trainer. Then going to my Magic Speed 5, which would be my speed trainer. And then finally, I would have my race day shoe, and that's anything from the Metaspeed series. Whichever works better for you, the Edge of the Tokyo, or if you are more aggressive, then going with the the ray. So that would be my 4 shoe rotation. So going down to a 3 shoe rotation, again, I always think it's very important to make sure you have your soft plus shoe. And the good thing about that is the this Super Blast 3 is very good at picking up speed and doing other stuff with it. So it is a super shoe. You can use it for your daily and you can use it for your long runs. And even if you wanted to, if it's a longer distance, you could use it for your race day shoe. It really is a shoe that can do all for you. But if I'm building a 3 shoe rotation, I'm going to have that Super Blast 3 for my slower runs and longer runs. I'm going to have the Magic Speed 5 for my speedier intervals. And then I'm going to have one of my Meta Speeds for my race day shoe, giving you 3. All right, now finally, if I'm looking at a 2 shoe rotation, again, I would go for the Super Blast 3 because of all the ways you can use that shoe. Is it my favorite? No, it's too soft for me, but I do acknowledge that it can handle a lot of different paces, and that's a big plus. Then the next shoe would be my Magic Speed 5 because the Magic Speed 5 is not just a track shoe, it's a shoe that you can use in all sets of different like you could use them in some races. 5K be perfect for it. 10K very good. Myself personally, I would never use them for a half marathon, but I could see some people using them for a half marathon. Marathon, there's no way for me. I definitely don't recommend it. But people have done crazier things. All right. So next, let's take a look at some comparisons to see if this is the right shoe for you. Between the Magic Speed 5 and the Adidas Adizero Takumi Sen 11. Now, both are very snappy shoes. They're lightweight. They're tailored for short distance intervals or fast workouts and or racing, specifically for the 5K and 10K. Now, the Magic Speed 5 is more stable, durable, and affordable. Takumi Sen 11 is kind of more aggressive. It's got a premium foam. Really, I think you get a little bit more top-end speed out of the Takumi Sen. All right, so the Magic Speed 5 has the dual density setup with the flight foam leap on top and the FF Blast Plus on the bottom with a full carbon plate. Meanwhile, the Takumi Sen 11 is their premium Light Strike Pro Foam. Now it doesn't have a carbon plate. Instead, it uses glass fiber energy rods, which makes it a little bit more of a softer, highly energetic, and bouncy toe off. Now the upper for the Magic 5, like I said, is the engineered mesh with a fully padded collar and fairly rigid heel counter, while the Takumi Sen utilizes a featherlight stripped down light lock upper. It's like razor thin. However, I always find that the Adidas uppers kind of scratch me and end up bothering me. Right. So looking at the price and value, the Magic Speed is 160 to 180, depending on where you look, and the Takumi Sen is upwards toward $200. You're definitely saving money with the Magic Speed 5. So I would choose the Magic Speed 5 if you want a that can do like double duty for races and entry level races. Choose the Adidas Takumi Sen. Between the Asics Magic Speed 5 and the Nike Streak Fly 2. Now, they both are very light. However, the Streak Fly 2 comes in at 6 ounces to Magic Speed 5, 7.4 ounces in a US men's size 9.5. The Street Fly 2 has a 4 millimeter drop compared to the Magic Speed 7 millimeter drop. The Street Fly 2 is coming in cheaper at about $160, whereas the Magic Speed 5 it will run you $180. Right. So the Magic Speed 5, it has the full carbon fiber plate. That scoops and it's scooped, whereas the Zoom Fly has is more unplated, kind of a shank style structure. So the Magic Speed 5 is more versatile, having a higher stack height, making it more forgiving, and you can race in it more. Whereas the Street Fly 2 is best suited for like on the track workouts rather than long sustained mileage. So it's a big difference there.